In the farthest corner of the galaxy, orbiting a dead sun, floated a massive machine city called Archive Theta. It was not built for war or trade. It had only one purpose: to measure life. Inside, thousands of alien analysts worked in silence. Every new species discovered by the Galactic Council was brought here digitally, biologically, and mathematically. Their intelligence, their aggression, their speed of learning, their limits, all of it reduced to numbers, neatly organized. Perfectly predictable, and for 5,000 years, the system never failed. Until today, the Zeltari analyst named Saruin blinked his 3 eyelids and leaned back in his hovering seat. His screen pulsed read an error code. He frowned. Errors didn't happen here. Not in Archive Theta. He tapped again. The screen flashed the words, "Measurement failed. Variable undefined." "What?"
Ow. That.
Saruin muttered. He tapped again, calling. Up the profile. Species designation: 0459 Kappa 3 Homeworld. Sol 3 common name: Humans Homo sapiens. Classification: Tier 0. Galactic status: under observation. It was a minor world in a forgotten arm of the spiral galaxy. The kind of place the Council usually ignored. Primitive, violent, still burning fossil fuels when last checked. It's not worth much attention. But the data had changed. Rapidly, in just 2 planetary centuries. Their technology had leaped from combustion engines to artificial intelligence, from radio waves to quantum encryption. No other species in recorded history had climbed so fast without guidance or uplift. Saruin adjusted the parameters. Intelligence quotient: 118. Aggression index: 91. Creativity burst pattern: off the charts. But then came the real problem. Adaptation curve: chaotic, unpredictable, unstable. That's what triggered the red code. The numbers didn't match any known model. This has to be a mistake, Saruin whispered. He flagged the data for manual review. A few moments later, an audio call came through. Hinolis Veilak, his superior. Saruin, why are you flagging a Tier 0 species? Its system hasn't even reached galactic comms. I understand, Supervisor, but this species is not behaving within limits. Their adaptability is exponential, but it's not logical. They build machines before solving hunger. They create global networks, then argue about truth. Learning doesn't follow progression curves. It spikes, then breaks, then spikes again. There was silence on the other end. Then, coldly, delete the error. Assign random drift label for B move on. Saruin stared at the screen. Sir, they just launched an AI-powered explorer that mapped 5 moons and returned within 48 hours. Impossible. At their level, it wasn't built by their government. It was made by a private group of teenagers. Using leftover parts, or silence. Then the line cut. Saruin didn't move for a long time. He ran more simulations. In one model, humans discovered faster-than-light travel within 80 years. In another, they never discovered it, but they hacked an alien satellite and forced it to send a signal directly into the Council's deep net. One simulation showed them failing, collapsing into war. Another showed them spreading across the stars not by invasion, but by infecting other systems with ideas so powerful, entire species switched sides. It's just by reading human literature. Nothing was stable. The math didn't hold. He ran the simulations again, different results every time. Finally, Saruin made a choice. He broke protocol. He accessed the deep archives, though. Kind only the Council Masters could view. Found a single note buried under hundreds of years of encrypted data. Do not engage species 0459K3. Monitor only. Do not interact. Probability error threshold: 19.8%. 19.8%. That was insane. Anything over 1% was considered dangerous. This was almost 20 times that, and the Council had kept it hidden. Why? The answer came late that night, when Saruin accessed the lost transmission logs. One caught his attention. From Observer Dren, last station near South 3. Final message 52 years ago. They do not evolve like us. They don't wait. They leap. They burn their history and start over. Pain doesn't stop them, it teaches them. Fear doesn't slow them, fuels them. They laugh at odds. They worship the impossible. I am scared. They're not a species. They are a variable. I am leaving this message in case I disappear, which I will, because I made contact. That was the last entry. Dren was never seen again. The next day, Saruan presented his findings to the internal board. Cold, logical minds stared back at him. You're saying, one counselor said slowly, that this species is unmeasurable? Yes, Saruan replied. They're unpredictable. They don't respond to control. They don't follow survival logic. They act on things our models don't include, such as stories, hope, sacrifice, rage, imagination, chaos, and somehow it works. Another counselor scoffed. They're primitives. Let them burn themselves out. But Saruan stared at the screen. No, they won't. That's the point. They should burn out. They should fail. But they don't. Every time they break, they rebuild stronger, faster. A long pause filled the room, then the lead counselor sighed. Assign a Tier 1 observation. Fleet to Sol 3. Keep all probes cloaked. Do not interfere. And if they make contact with us first, Saruan asked. The counselor gave him a look he had never seen before. Fear. Then may the stars help us. Across the galaxy, in a small lab on Earth, a human scientist smiled. Her telescope had picked up something strange. A tiny fluctuation in background radiation, too perfect to be natural. A pattern, like a message. Not from Earth. She didn't tell anyone yet. Not the government, not the news. Instead, she started decoding it alone, line by line, and halfway through the first sequence, her eyes widened. It wasn't a message sent to Earth. It was a message about Earth in an alien language, and it was scared. The voice came through static, weak and broken, but the words were still clear. They're not like us. They change under pressure. They become something new. I don't know how long I have. This is Dren Observer Class 4. Recording final. Log. They're learning faster than any simulation predicted. I've made a mistake. I've stayed too long, and now they've seen me. Then silence. The Galactic Council never heard from Dren again. 50 years earlier, Observer Dren had landed. On Earth in secret, his ship, cloaked in orbit, monitored every human broadcast. He chose his form carefully, something neutral. Quiet man with tired eyes and soft features. No one noticed him when he walked through busy cities. That's how he liked it. He came to Earth as a watcher, a silent student. His job was simple. Observe. Do not interfere. Do not speak to the natives. And above all, do not form emotional attachment. But Earth made that difficult. Humans were chaos wrapped in skin. Dren had watched species rise before. He had studied the insect collective minds of the Weskari, the peaceful mathematicians of the Zarin, the brutal war hives of the Threx. All of them made sense, but humans. Humans were noise. They built machines that poisoned their planet, then built machines to fix it. They argued about truth, then died for ideas. They joked about death. Made stories where they lost and called them victories. And somehow it worked. For 12 Earth years, Dren watched them. He lived in Chicago under the name Daniel Rowe. He taught physics. He listened. He waited. And then one night, something changed. A student of his, a girl named Lee, came into class trembling. Her mother had died. Her world had broken. Dren expected her to withdraw, to collapse. That would have been logical. Instead, she worked harder. Her grades improved. She started building a quantum lab on her own. Why are you doing this? Dren had asked, unable to stop himself. She looked at him with red, tired eyes and said, because she always believed I would, and I'm not going to let her be wrong. Dren couldn't respond. There was no equation for that kind of thinking. He started sending warnings back to the council. They defy predictive models. They learn through failure. They form irrational connections that drive impossible actions. They choose pain for meaning. The council responded with a cold message: continue observation. Limit emotional engagement. Species remains classified Tier 0, but Dren couldn't pull away. He had started to care. One evening, something strange happened. Dren's ship, hidden beneath Lake Superior, activated its threat alarms. Not an attack, but a scan. A human-built system had pinged it. That shouldn't be possible. Not with cloaking tech that even the SCHHR Council's enemies couldn't detect. He checked the logs. Signal origin: an abandoned government research lab in Alaska. Powerless for 20 years. No activity. No transmissions. And yet, it had sent a directed quantum burst straight to his ship's frequency. Perfect hit. Someone on Earth knew he was there that night. Dren tried to leave. His ship refused. Not because of damage, but because its systems had been locked externally. Something had hacked his security. From Earth, from inside a lab that officially no longer existed, he made one final report. They've seen me. Not just physically, strategically, psychologically. They are responding to my presence. That means they are aware. They are watching me back. This is no longer observation. It's mutual surveillance, and I no longer control it. Then he sent the final file and vanished. No trace, no remains. His ship, still hidden in Lake Superior, shut itself down. Self-wiped. Gone. Back in the Galactic Council, Saruan accessed the hidden report. His fingers trembled as he read Dren's final entries. They don't fear us, Dren had written. They don't even see us as gods or demons. They see us as a challenge, a puzzle, something to overcome. They are not rising. They are awakening. Far from the council, in the Arctic Circle, secret human teams stood in front of a massive underground interface. On the screen were strange alien symbols. Copied from the quantum burst, Dren sent home the young woman in charge. Letha, same student from Dren's class, smiled. I told you he wasn't human, she whispered. Behind her, the system clicked once. Access granted. They had cracked part of the Observer's AI, and for the first time, humans looked into the dark heart of the Galactic Council and started to learn what was coming. The simulation was never supposed to fail. It had run over 6 billion galactic conflict models without error. From hive wars to machine rebellions, from black hole weapons to plague events, the system could predict the outcome of any crisis with 99.999% accuracy. But today, the screen just showed one word: failure, and beside it, a timer. Time until total galactic collapse. 287.4 standard years, in the deep core of the Council's central AI chamber. The simulation overseer, an elder Sonari named Kalos, stood frozen. His long silver digits twitched nervously as he reran the simulation again. Same result: humanity survives. Council collapses. The galaxy fractures into war and chaos. This can't be correct, Kalos whispered.
The humans don't even
Have full FTL yet. He removed all assumptions. Gave the humans no allies. Removed all outside help. Started them alone, on Earth, with limited resources. Ran the simulation again. Result: galactic collapse in 291 years. Humans not only survived, they dominated. Kalos expanded the logs. The reason wasn't tech. It wasn't military power. It was behavior. Human forces refused to follow logic-based tactics. They attacked supply lines before battles, faked their own losses, even destroyed their own ships to lure enemies into ambushes. No other species did this, not even the Threx. Warbroods, because every other species followed the same rule: survival first. But humans didn't always choose survival. They chose victory, meaning revenge, hope, and that made them unpredictable. The simulation engine called it chaotic recursion. Kalos called it something simpler: insanity. The council met in emergency session. This must be an error, barked First Chair Rex. The humans are fractured, divided. They still war among themselves. Saruan, sitting silently at the edge of the chamber, spoke softly. That's why they're dangerous. Their conflict makes them stronger. It's how they grow. Another member hissed. Then we isolate them. Cut off soul. No contact allowed. Third spoke, more nervous now. What if it's already too late? We lost Observer Dren. There's no data on what they learned from him. Kalos stepped forward. I ran over 1,000 variations. Even with complete blockade, even with early intervention, the humans find a way. They adapt. They mimic. They build weapons we've never imagined using concepts we don't even simulate. The chamber went silent. Then Kalos showed them. Something worse. A simulation branch labeled Concept. Cultural infection in this version. Humans didn't use ships, or weapons, or fleets. They spread through stories, music, ideas, beliefs. Other species once loyal to the Council defected after reading human books, listening to human speeches, or watching Earth's history. By year 182, over 37% of the U.S. galaxy had switched sides voluntarily, not because of bribes, but because of threats, because they believed in humanity's defiance. Kalos shut off the screen. We cannot predict what happens next, he said quietly. They are not a civilization. They are a contagion of will. At the far end of the council chamber, a single word was whispered. Extermination. We've done into silence. We've done it before, said Chair Rex. We've purged. Systems. We've sterilized homeworlds. We can do it again. Saruan's voice shook. They'll see it coming. We'll strike fast. Silent fleets. Quantum cloaks. Total sterilization before contact. Then what? Saruan asked. We erase every idea they left behind. Every song, every story, every satellite already moving beyond their solar system. What about the minds they've already touched? Are we going to sterilize every thought they ever inspired? No one answered, but the vote passed, just barely. Operation Nullseed was approved. Quantum fleets were sent toward Earth. No signals, no warnings. Just death. But only one ship ever returned. Badly damaged, systems offline. Crew missing, and in its last recovered recording, the Council heard something they weren't prepared for. They saw us. Before we entered orbit, before we activated weapons. They were waiting. They hacked our command AI. They took our language. They spoke to us. And then they said something strange. They said, we've measured you too. Back on Earth, in a deep facility under the Rockies. Lee stood beside a new system. She looked at the returned alien ship's core, now wired into human networks. Its language, its controls, now hers. Behind her, screens showed simulations running faster than Earth. I'd ever seen because the secret Dren left behind. It wasn't just data, it was the Council's own simulation code, and humanity had upgraded it. In the cold silence beyond Pluto, 3 alien war fleets entered the solar system. Invisible, undetectable, wrapped in quantum. Cloaks and nullinorgy drives. Each fleet carried enough firepower to vaporize a planet. They had one. Lead commander of Fleet Alpha, Admiral Krexthu of the Varnock Imperium, had done this before. He had burned out 5 civilizations. He was efficient, fast, without mercy. He stood on his bridge, watching Earth slowly grow on the view screen. Primitive, he said. Still running fission, exposed satellites. Easy kill. His second officer paused. Sir, their satellites are realigning. What? 200 of them? They're all facing us. That's impossible. We're cloaked. Then another voice came from Tactical. Admiral, they've locked weapons on our position. That couldn't be. No Tier 0 species could detect a Council quantum fleet, but seconds later, alarms blared. Earth fired first. A beam of white-hot plasma lanced through the darkness. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't pretty, but it hit, right through one of the stealth cruisers. No warning. No hesitation. Fleet Alpha scrambled to decloak. Shields up. Weapons ready. Too late. Dozens of strange, jagged ships erupted from the asteroid. Belt unregistered. Not in any Council database, made of scrap. Stolen parts. Of old satellite hulls and broken machines, but fast. aggressive, alive, the human. Counterattack began before the fleet had fully entered orbit. At Council Central, chaos erupted. How did they detect the fleets? One counselor screamed. Another shouted. They built a global net of passive gravity sensors. They used their own planet's crust as a warning system. That's impossible. It's human. It's worse. Back in orbit, Admiral Krextu watched as a second ship exploded near Jupiter. They were losing, not because of firepower, but because the humans knew everything they knew. Council, tactics, formations, attack patterns, even the language of command. Protocols, Admiral. They've hacked our comms, said his comms officer. They're speaking to us. Krexu stared at the screen. Then it flickered. A human face appeared. Young, calm, smiling it was. Welcome to Earth. Then the fleet's weapon systems began shutting down. One by one, firewalls failed, engines sputtered. Navigation scrambled. They hadn't just been detected, they'd been baited, Admiral. Krexu gave the order, full retreat now. But only one ship made it out. That ship drifted back to Council space weeks later, scarred. Empty, its logs were damaged. But one message remained intact. A message recorded in the Admiral's voice. This was no pre-contact species. They were prepared, they anticipated our every move. Their weapons were primitive, but their thinking was not. They let us come. They studied us. And now they have everything they need to strike back. In Earth's underground command center, the mood was silent but electric. Lee stood over the alien tech they had captured. Every part of the failed attack had been recorded, studied, broken down. Behind her, holograms of Council warships spun. Already being redesigned? What do we do now? Someone asked. She didn't hesitate. Now, we finish what they started. The Council chamber had not been this full in over 1,000 cycles. From every corner of the galaxy, ambassadors and envoys shouted over one another. Panic buzzed like electricity. Holographic feeds of the failed Earth strike flickered in midair. Replaying on loop, the footage was clear. 3 invisible fleets entered the Sol system. 2 never returned. 1 came back broken. And the humans, they didn't just survive. They hunted the attackers. They broadcasted it. Now the whole galaxy knew. Council Chair Rex pounded the floor with his staff. Order, you will all speak in. Turn! But no one listened. The Zedrak ambassador roared. You said Earth was a Tier 0 system. They shouldn't even have deep space sensors, shouted a Threx general. They do, said Kalos, the simulation overseer. More. Their learning rate has increased by 31% since the attempted strike. Another envoy's voice cracked with fear. Do you realize what we've done? We've awakened something we can't control. Saruin stood silently at the back. His hands trembled as he reviewed the latest Earth transmission. Not to the Council? Not to anyone in particular? Just a general message. Open frequency. Plain language. We have measured your attack, we responded. If you seek peace, speak. If you come again in silence, we will not speak next time. The Council debated for hours, but none noticed what Saruin saw. That message had been sent before the Council fleets even reached orbit. Some species began. Emergency evacuations. Entire planets emptied overnight. Trade routes. Yes. 2 empires rivals for centuries formed an alliance just to prepare for possible human expansion. Galaxy built on control and certainty had just learned that. One species, one variable could end it all. In the Council's war hall, Chair Rex finally spoke in a grave tone. We must negotiate. The room froze. Negotiate with the tiers. Are no longer Tier 0, Kalos said. They are something else. Something beyond measurement. A peaceful delegation was assembled. 50 ships, unarmed, carrying offers of apology, tribute, cooperation. The ships reached Earth's border in 2 weeks. They sent greetings, no response. They sent. Gifts, no reply. They asked to meet. Silence. Then. Finally, one reply came back. Not from a human, from one of the alien ships the humans had captured. The message was short. You measured us by fear and logic. We measured you by action now. We're building our own scale. The delegation turned back, confused, nervous. But the galaxy had already changed. Inside a hidden lab beneath Mars' surface, humans worked on a new project, the mirror signal. It wasn't a weapon. It was worse. It was a message, written in every known council language, crafted with terrifying precision. It would tell every species exactly what Earth had seen, what Earth had learned, and what was coming next. Lee stood over the projection, her voice calm. We won't start the next war, she said. But when it comes, we'll see what a variable really is. Then she smiled, not out of cruelty, but certainty. The galaxy held its breath when the first human ship entered. Council space, it was not a warship. It did not fire. It did not even raise shields. It simply stopped at the edge of the Zedrek system, a peaceful world known for its diplomacy. In ancient libraries, then, it broadcast one thing, a history. No threats, no demands. It's just a voice, human, female, calm. This is who we are. You tried to measure us. Now see what those numbers missed. Images filled the air, the ruins of Earth's cities rebuilt again and again. Soldiers carrying wounded, enemies to safety, protesters standing before tanks, children born in war zones, smiling, scientists crying as they landed on distant moons, humans falling, breaking, dying, then rising again. Across the Zadrak homeworld, people watched. They wept. They asked questions. They argued then. Something happened that shocked the council. The Zedrak voted unanimously to align with Earth, not under fear, not through bribes, but because they saw something they had never seen before, a species that grew stronger through pain. Council Central. Alarms rang. Zedrak has left the compact, technician shouted. They signed a defense pact with humans. Impossible, Rex growled. The Zedrak are pacifists. Kolos whispered. They aren't joining Earth for war. They're joining for meaning. Meanwhile, Earth sent out more broadcasts, each one a message, each one a story. To the Threx, a history of resistance. To the Sonari, a philosophy of rebirth. To the scattered species of the Void Fringe, music made from starlight and sorrow. These weren't weapons. They were invitations. And the galaxy responded, a small, desert world, once ignored by the Council, lit up its sky with Earth's signal. A merchant empire in the Trell sector declared neutrality and began trade with humans. Even factions inside Council member worlds began to ask dangerous questions. Why were we never told about Earth before? Why did we strike first? Why are we afraid of a species that speaks in art and loss and laughter? Lee stood at the edge of the orbital ring above Mars, watching as new ships were built, human designs fused with alien tech. She looked tired, not because of the battles, because of the choice ahead. We're not forcing anyone, she told the Council of Earth Nations. We're not trying to conquer. We're not becoming what they feared. She turned, eyes hard. But if they try again, we'll find out what a unified Earth looks like. Back on the Zedrak homeworld, a statue was unveiled, not of a human. Warrior, not of a weapon, but of a girl holding a broken book, kneeling among rubble, the plaque said. From ruin, they rise. From stories, they fight. This is Earth. The Council's measurement system tried to run the numbers again. The models broke. Not because of Earth's military, but because now the galaxy had started to believe in the variable. In a hidden core near the galactic center, behind layers of quantum encryption and antimatter shields, a species older than the Council itself stared into failure. They were called the Volari, once worshipped as gods, now forgotten as engineers. They had built the system that measured all. Life in the galaxy, the codex of patterns, it had never been wrong until now, and the species that broke it. Humans, High Logician Victa, stood before the master core, his tendrils shaking. He ran the data again. 700 million behavior profiles. No match. No precedent. Earth's model collapsed under its own recursion. In one simulation, humans embraced peace. In the next, they sparked rebellion. Sometimes they surrendered to win. Sometimes they burned everything to start anew. Every time the Codex tried to adapt, humans changed again. Victus spoke into the dark. Show me the root error. The AI answered, ERROR type 42. Will cannot be predicted. He stared at the words, confused. Will, at the Codex had no field for it. Not in intelligence, not in aggression, not in adaptability. It was a new variable, one that wasn't logical, one that couldn't be measured, one that humans called choice. Back on Earth, the deep Arctic base, Lee ran simulations of her own, using the stolen council code. Earth had begun rewriting models. She laughed quietly as her team discovered the same thing the Valari had. You can't model someone who breaks their own pattern just to make a point. The Valari tried something desperate. They added a new field to the Codex, unstable free will index. They fed it centuries of human history, war, art, sacrifice, contradictions. The Codex responded with one word, ascension. That word had never appeared in any simulation. It wasn't military dominance. It wasn't empire. It meant the end of predictability. It meant the galaxy was no longer running on logic. It was running on human behavior. The Valari panicked. This is not measurement, Victa whispered. This is conversion. The next day, the Valari vanished. All communication cut. All systems locked. They sealed their homeworld in a quantum event shell to hide from the future. But before they disappeared, they sent one last message. It arrived at Council Central, then at Earth, then across every listening station in the galaxy. We built the Codex to measure order, but we forgot that life is not numbers. Life is fire. No, you are the spark. The variable is not a threat. It is evolution. In response, Earth launched a new satellite, not a weapon. It's not a spy drone, a signal beacon, broadcasting one thing. In every known language, if your system fails to explain us, maybe it's time to build a new one. And in that moment, thousands of species across the galaxy looked up from their own simulations and turned them off. The final emergency meeting of the Galactic Council began in silence. No shouting this time. No finger dash pointing dot, just fear. Chair Rex, once proud and commanding, now looked small beneath the great dome of stars. He faced the chamber. They didn't destroy us, he said. They didn't conquer a single world, paused, but we're losing everything. Across the galaxy, old alliances fell. Species once loyal to the Council had joined Earth's variable compact. Some had changed flags, others had changed minds, but worst of all, Earth hadn't taken anything by force. They'd simply shared ideas. And now, the old system built on control, ranking fear, was collapsing. Do we attack? A counselor asked. Kalos, the master of simulations, spoke softly. There is no model left. Every time we simulate war with Earth, it ends in extinction. Ours. But there's still just one world. Saruan, now a respected advisor, stepped forward. No, not anymore. He activated a star map. Hundreds of stars lit up in red. Worlds that had aligned with Earth, but not with weapons, with belief. Meanwhile, in orbit above Jupiter, a single human ship hovered. Its name, Vera Rubin, not a battleship, a transmission craft. Its purpose, to send out the final message. Lee stood at the center of the control deck. Round her, aliens and humans worked side by side. Some were Zedrak, others Trellborn, even a defector from the Threx warbrood. They had gathered not by orders, but by choice. Lee began the message. To every species still watching, we are not perfect. We are not pure. We are not peaceful, but we are alive. In every way your simulations cannot understand. You tried to measure us, called us unstable, unfit, dangerous. And you were right. Because we are not the result of math. We are the result of millions of years of impossible choices. We are the variable. And if your systems break when we enter, then maybe it's time to break your systems. That message spread like wildfire from core worlds to fringe stations, from great empires to hidden moon colonies. Some species rejected it, others embraced it, but no one ignored it. On a gas giant moon, a rebel librarian burned the council's old codices and taught children Earth's philosophy in a shattered mining colony. Workers painted human quotes on the walls across dying stars and new worlds. A new signal replaced the council's old one. A simple symbol, a flame, wrapped in DNA, the sign of the variable compact. Back on Earth, Lee walked through the halls of what was once a weapons lab. Now it was a school. Engineers, poets, soldiers, alien scholars, all learning together. Not to fight, to prepare for whatever came next. Because the variable wasn't just humanity. It was anyone who chose meaning over control, choice over certainty, growth over comfort in the ruins of the old council core. A single simulation server still ran Dash alone. It tried one last time to measure Earth, to predict its future, to stop what was coming, the result. System overload. Then one final line before it shut down. The variable cannot be measured. The variable is the future.